Tonight here, the new heartbreak for the Kennedy family, Caroline Kennedy's daughter, JFK's granddaughter, Tatiana Schlossberg, revealing she is dying from cancer, a rare form of leukemia. Tonight here, the moving words from the young mother and wife, and why she says she always wanted to protect her mother, Caroline, from more pain. Here's Rhiannon Alley.
At just 36, Tatiana Kennedy Schlossberg has spent years honoring the legacy of a family defined by history, service, and unimaginable loss. But recently, a sudden and deeply personal blow has shaken her world in a way few expected. Those close to her say the news arrived quietly, yet its impact rippled instantly through the Kennedy circle, leaving friends and relatives stunned. Now, details are beginning to emerge, revealing a story far more emotional than anyone imagined. So, what happened that has left JFK's granddaughter facing one of her most heartbreaking moments yet? A heartbreaking turn in the Kennedy legacy. This past weekend brought news that has shaken not only the Kennedy family but countless admirers around the world. Tatiana Schlossberg, the 35-year-old granddaughter of John F. Kennedy, shared a diagnosis that has left friends and family in shock. The announcement, made on a day heavy with historical resonance, came exactly 62 years after her grandfather's assassination in Dallas, a date forever etched in American memory. What should have been a quiet, private moment instead became a reminder of how fragile life can be, even for those whose names carry a legacy of strength and resilience. Tatiana had recently celebrated the birth of her second child, a moment that should have been purely filled with joy, love, and hope for the future. Instead, what began as routine medical care turned into a frightening revelation. During a standard blood test, doctors discovered that her white blood cell count was alarmingly high, nearly 10 times above normal. What initially seemed like a minor irregularity quickly revealed the presence of a rare and aggressive form of leukemia. Medical experts explain that in this type of leukemia, the development of white blood cells goes awry at a very early stage. Normally, white blood cells mature in an orderly progression from stem cells into fully functioning cells that fight infection. In Tatiana's case, a rare genetic mutation, known as inversion 3, has disrupted this process. Immature white blood cells multiply uncontrollably, leaving no room for healthy, mature cells to function properly. This unchecked growth not only overwhelms the body, but also severely limits treatment options, making the prognosis particularly grim. Dr. Rabia de la Tour, an oncologist at NYU Grossman School of Medicine, emphasized how rare this mutation is. While leukemia itself accounts for only a small percentage of cancer cases, Tatiana falls within an even smaller fraction affected by this specific genetic anomaly. It's an incredibly challenging scenario, Dr. de la Tour explained, because it impacts both the ability to respond to conventional treatments and the potential for long-term remission. The timing of this diagnosis has made the news even more poignant. For a family that has lived in the public eye for decades, with tragedies that have spanned generations, Tatiana's announcement resonates deeply. Her grandfather's death in 1963, a defining moment in American history, remains a symbol of sudden loss and unrealized potential. Now, 62 years later, another Kennedy faces a personal battle that the world can't ignore. Social media and news outlets quickly shared the story, expressing shock, sympathy, and support for Tatiana and her family. Friends and colleagues have spoken about her resilience and quiet determination, describing her as someone who has always approached life with intelligence, grace, and a sense of purpose. Yet even the strongest among us are not immune to the harsh realities of life and illness. In Tatiana's case, the news has prompted both an outpouring of support and a reflection on the unpredictable nature of fate. The juxtaposition of her personal joy, the arrival of a new child, and the weight of this diagnosis underscores the bittersweet complexity of human experience. Understanding the science behind Tatiana's condition adds another layer to the gravity of the situation. Leukemia of this type is not simply about abnormal cells. It represents a breakdown in the very system that protects the body. Each white blood cell is meant to serve a role, developing along a precise path that ensures the body can fight infection and maintain health. A mutation like inversion 3 disrupts this process at a fundamental level, causing immature cells to dominate and leaving the immune system vulnerable. In Tatiana's case, her elevated white blood cell count was the first sign, a warning signal that something was deeply wrong within her body. Despite the dire prognosis, doctors remain committed to exploring every possible avenue for treatment. Modern oncology has seen remarkable advances, and while Tatiana faces one of the more aggressive and rare forms of leukemia, every effort will be made to provide her with care that maximizes both quality of life and hope. The coming months are likely to be challenging, requiring both medical intervention and the steadfast support of her family. For the public, Tatiana's story is a stark reminder that illness does not discriminate, affecting even those born into families of influence, wealth, and historical significance. The Kennedy legacy, often associated with triumph, service, and tragedy, now faces a deeply personal test once again. The announcement has drawn attention not just to her condition, but to the broader human experience of confronting unexpected loss and the fragility of life. In a world captivated by headlines and history, the story of Tatiana Schlossberg adds a profoundly personal chapter to the ongoing narrative of the Kennedy family. It is a tale of love, fear, resilience, and the courage to face an uncertain future. While the numbers in medical terminology convey the seriousness of her illness, the human side, the mother, granddaughter, and daughter, reminds us that behind every diagnosis is a life filled with relationships, dreams, and moments yet to be cherished. As she begins this new, daunting chapter, the world watches with empathy, hoping for breakthroughs, small victories, and the strength to navigate what lies ahead. Was Tatiana's sudden hospitalization just a medical surprise, or was there something deeper Buckingham Palace needed to uncover about her health? The unbelievable odds, Tatiana's battle with a rare diagnosis. Tatiana could hardly believe what she was hearing. Just the day before, she had been swimming laps in the pool, 9 months pregnant, feeling strong and healthy. Truly one of the most energetic people she knew. And now she sat in a sterile hospital room, hearing words that sounded almost unreal. Acute myeloid leukemia, a rare, aggressive cancer that only affects about 1% of the population. But that wasn't all. The specific genetic mutation she carried, an inversion 3, was found in just 1.5% of those already rare cases. Tatiana's situation was so extraordinarily uncommon that even her doctors described it as 1 in a million. The news hit like lightning, shattering the normalcy of her life in an instant. For someone whose days were filled with family, exercise, and work, the sudden confrontation with mortality was disorienting. It's one thing to read about rare cancers in textbooks or online. It's entirely different to hear that those odds have landed squarely on you. Tatiana's mind raced, grappling with disbelief and fear while trying to process the cascade of medical terms and statistics that seemed abstract until now. Doctors were careful but frank. They explained that AML, acute myeloid leukemia, is an aggressive blood cancer that progresses rapidly if untreated. The inversion 3 mutation, they added, makes her case even more complex, influencing how her body might respond to treatments and shaping the strategy they would need to fight back. Despite the grim numbers, her medical team stressed that treatment options did exist, though navigating them would require resilience, precision, and constant vigilance. For Tatiana, the shock was compounded by the contrast of her recent life. Only weeks earlier, she had been planning baby showers, enjoying meals with family, and laughing in the sunlight with her children. She was vibrant, active, and fully present in the moments that define everyday happiness. And now, in a single moment, those moments were tinged with uncertainty. The disease that rarely strikes anyone, let alone someone with her genetic profile, had arrived uninvited, threatening to disrupt everything she had taken for granted. Even in the face of this terrifying diagnosis, Tatiana's resilience began to emerge. She reflected on the rarity of her condition not as a source of despair, but as a challenge to confront head-on. While statistics painted her situation as nearly impossible, she refused to let them define her fate. In interviews and personal writings, she expressed a determination to face her treatment plan with courage and clarity, using knowledge as her weapon against fear. The story of Tatiana's diagnosis is a reminder of how fragile and unpredictable life can be. It highlights the strange irony of health and illness. Someone can feel perfectly fine, moving through daily routines with strength and joy, and then encounter a force entirely beyond their control. Yet, it also shines a light on human resilience, the ability to absorb shock, to process incomprehensible news, and to choose courage in the face of statistical improbability. Medical experts following her case note that while AML with inversion 3 mutations is rare, awareness and early detection remain crucial. Treatments have advanced, and personalized care plans tailored to genetic profiles have improved outcomes for some patients. Still, each case carries uncertainty, requiring not just physical strength, but emotional fortitude. Tatiana's journey exemplifies both the vulnerability and the determination that define patients facing rare diseases, a reminder that even in the most unlikely circumstances, human courage can shine. Amid hospital corridors, treatment protocols, and endless consultations, Tatiana continues to navigate the days with a balance of hope and realism. Her story resonates because it is relatable at its core. Most of us go through life believing in a certain predictability, only to be confronted by forces beyond our control. Her rare diagnosis is a dramatic example, but the emotional truth is universal. Life can change in an instant, and the response to that change shapes not only outcomes, but character itself. Tatiana's journey also underscores a broader awareness. Rare diseases, though statistically improbable, affect real people every day, often without warning. Her courage and transparency in sharing her experience provide both inspiration and education. She reminds the world that rarity does not mean impossibility, and that facing extraordinary odds requires extraordinary strength. In a life that seemed ordinary moments ago, she has become a symbol of resilience, demonstrating that even the most unexpected challenges can be met with determination, insight, and an unwavering commitment to fight. But when Tatiana's seemingly perfect health was examined more closely, what hidden battle did doctors discover lurking beneath her calm and confident exterior? Tatiana's silent struggle. It began quietly, almost imperceptibly. Tatiana, often seen smiling at public events and carrying herself with her usual poise, had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. She felt well, or at least well enough. Yet beneath the surface, a silent battle had already begun. It's the kind of illness that deceives even the most vigilant observers, lurking unseen until it is discovered, sometimes by the most mundane of tests. For Tatiana, it was a routine blood examination, nothing dramatic, just part of a checkup, that revealed the first unsettling hint. Doctors would later describe it as a treacherous pattern. Certain forms of leukemia, they explained, are cunning in their subtlety. A person can appear entirely healthy, while rogue white blood cells multiply quietly, disrupting the delicate balance of the body's systems. In Tatiana's case, the disease showed no outward signs at first. She had not felt exhausted beyond the usual demands of her life, had no unusual bruising, and had certainly not anticipated what would be revealed in that unassuming blood sample. The science behind it is as chilling as it is fascinating. These malignant white blood cells crowd the healthy cells in the bone marrow, preventing the body from producing adequate red blood cells and platelets. The consequences are varied, yet often insidious. Pallor, fatigue, easy bruising, spontaneous nosebleeds. For others, less obvious signs may appear: night sweats that soak sleepwear, unexplained weight loss, subtle fevers that come and go. And while these warning signs can emerge, they are often subtle enough to be mistaken for stress or a passing illness. For Tatiana, the first indications were invisible, masked by her normal routines and public engagements. But the danger lies not only in the blood itself. Leukemia can infiltrate beyond the marrow, spreading into other parts of the body, including the central nervous system. This means that what starts as a quiet, hidden problem can escalate rapidly, causing complications that no one could anticipate. It is this very unpredictability that makes the disease so frightening. Its capacity to strike without warning, targeting those who, to the outside world, seem vibrant and untouchable. Tatiana's diagnosis became clear. The weight of it was immense. It was not only the physical reality of the disease, but the psychological toll that came with it. For someone constantly in the public eye, every moment of weakness, every hospital visit could feel magnified under the scrutiny of media and public curiosity. Yet even in this storm, she faced the news with resilience, surrounded by family and medical professionals committed to her care. Doctors and specialists immediately designed a treatment plan tailored to her unique condition. The regimen involved not just chemotherapy but close monitoring, repeated blood tests, and constant vigilance for any signs that the disease might advance. In some ways, it was a race against time, though one without a visible finish line. The irony of leukemia, as Tatiana and her doctors understood, is that it is most dangerous precisely when it feels absent. One day, everything can seem normal, and the next, the body can falter in ways that are both sudden and severe. Throughout this period, Tatiana's life became a delicate balancing act. Public appearances were reduced, commitments postponed, and routines adjusted to conserve energy while staying strong enough to endure treatment. Yet even in moments of solitude, the psychological challenges loomed large. Facing an illness that thrives in silence can make one hyper-aware of every ache, every fleeting symptom, every minor fluctuation in energy. The mind begins to scan the body constantly, seeking signs of change, while simultaneously trying to maintain a sense of normalcy and hope. Family and friends became her anchors. Every check-in, every supportive word, every quiet presence mattered. The solidarity around her underscored a truth often lost in medical discussions. Battling a disease like this is not just about the body, it is about community, about finding strength in connection when the personal battle feels invisible to the world. For Tatiana, this network of support became as vital as any medication, a buffer against the isolation that often accompanies serious illness. Even as the treatment progressed, the uncertainty remained. Leukemia, particularly in its more insidious forms, does not follow a predictable path. Remission and relapse are constant possibilities, and each day presents new questions about the future. Yet in the midst of this uncertainty, Tatiana's courage and poise have remained steadfast, a quiet testament to resilience in the face of an invisible adversary. What stands out most in her story is the paradox of the disease itself, how it thrives on invisibility while demanding the utmost vigilance. It is a lesson in awareness, not just for those facing illness, but for all who witness it. Life can appear outwardly normal, while silent forces challenge the body and mind, reminding us that resilience often lies in the quiet, unseen moments of endurance. Tatiana's journey, though deeply personal, illuminates the hidden struggles many face, often unnoticed, until a single moment, a test, a symptom, a diagnosis, changes everything. In the end, this is more than a medical story. It is a story of courage under quiet pressure, of vigilance in the face of uncertainty, and of strength that emerges not from the absence of fear, but from facing it head-on. Tatiana's battle reminds us that sometimes the most profound battles are the ones the world does not see, and that hope and determination can shine brightest in the silence before the storm. Could Tatiana's quiet strength hide a struggle that few could imagine? What unseen battle was unfolding just before the world would finally take notice? Tatiana's personal battle with illness. From the outside, Tatiana seemed to move through life with a quiet grace, yet beneath that calm exterior was a battle few could truly comprehend. It wasn't something that could be explained by simple logic or familiar illness. It was a fight against a relentless, invisible adversary. In her personal reflections, Tatiana described moments at the hospital, the sterile smell of antiseptic filling her senses, and doctors peering at charts, trying to unravel a puzzle with no clear answer. "They're just trying to figure out how I got this," she wrote, her words carrying the weight of confusion and fear. It was clear to anyone reading her account that there were missing pieces. The world had been through so much with COVID-19, and countless families had been touched by its shadow, her own father included. Yet, Tatiana's narrative, profoundly personal and intimate, didn't mention it directly. Instead, it focused on the mysterious forces of biology that had thrust her into this journey. Experts in her corner emphasized that some conditions, like the one Tatiana faced, often arrive without warning or rhyme. Exposure to certain chemicals, radiation, or even treatments meant to save lives could increase risk. But for someone like Tatiana, who had no remembered risk factors, there was simply no clear explanation. The doctors spoke cautiously, aware that medical knowledge only goes so far. Bone marrow mutations, they explained, could arise from exposure to chemicals like formaldehyde or benzene, from radiation near historical disaster sites, or from treatments meant to fight other illnesses. Living in the shadow of major events, like being near the 9/11 site, could leave invisible traces of danger in the air, remnants of chemicals inhaled unknowingly. Even lifestyle factors such as smoking could influence susceptibility. Yet Tatiana's life, largely removed from these known hazards, presented a medical mystery that science could not fully unravel. Still, amidst this uncertainty, hope and realism coexisted. Doctors recognized the extraordinary nature of her journey and the importance of perspective. Treatments like cytotoxic chemotherapy and bone marrow transplants are life-saving but come with a staggering cost. The transplant, a procedure that could have saved her life, left her physically depleted and immunocompromised, unable to step into a crowded room or face a common cold without danger. Her immune system, once a quiet guardian, had become fragile, forcing her into isolation and reshaping the simple acts of daily life. And yet, within the walls of hospital rooms and quiet moments of reflection, Tatiana experienced small but profound victories. Each step forward, no matter how difficult, was a testament to her resilience. Medical miracles, while rare, were possible, but equally important was the human response. Providing comfort, acknowledging her suffering, and offering support that went beyond statistics and charts. Treatment alone was never enough. Emotional sustenance, companionship, and the space to find solace were as crucial as any medication. Her story is a reminder of how life's challenges often arrive without warning, leaving even the strongest hearts searching for answers. Tatiana's experience does not have an easy explanation, nor does it fit neatly into medical textbooks. Yet, through it all, her courage shines. Amid uncertainty, hardship, and the relentless pace of treatment, she continues to navigate her world with grace, finding moments of light in the shadow of illness. And while science works tirelessly to uncover the causes, her story remains a testament to human strength and the enduring need for compassion, understanding, and hope in the face of the unknown. So was Tatiana Kennedy's private struggle hidden beneath her family's legacy? What deeper truths about hope, resilience, and the human spirit were waiting to be uncovered? Hope, science, and the human story behind the headlines. From the outside, Tatiana Kennedy's life seems shaped by legacy and privilege. A granddaughter of one of America's most storied families, the Kennedy name evokes images of wealth, influence, and history. Yet behind the public perception lies a story far more human and profound. Beyond the titles and photographs lies a narrative defined by courage, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of hope. In recent months, Tatiana has faced a battle that transcends family fame, a fight against an aggressive illness that has tested every fiber of her being and forced her to confront questions most people never have to face. Those closest to her describe a journey that has explored nearly every option modern medicine can offer, from conventional treatments to experimental therapies that exist at the cutting edge of scientific innovation. Each step in this journey has been marked by both uncertainty and determination, illustrating a level of resolve that resonates far beyond her own circumstances. Tatiana has not been a passive observer of her fate. She has embraced immunotherapy, including CAR-T therapy, an innovative and still developing approach that trains the body's immune system to identify and attack cancer cells. To many, the term clinical trial might sound clinical, even cold, but for Tatiana, it represents far more than science. It is a lifeline, a beacon of hope in an otherwise dark and unpredictable landscape. Each infusion, each protocol, is both a medical intervention and a statement of agency. She is not waiting for fate. She is actively shaping her own path. Her experiences with these therapies have fueled a growing public advocacy. She has written openly about the importance of funding experimental treatments, highlighting that access to innovation should never be limited by bureaucracy or politics. For her, these therapies are not just about extending life. They're about dignity, about giving people a fighting chance when the world seems to have turned its back. Her essay, widely circulated in early 2025, reflects a story that is far more than a medical journey. It is a personal philosophy shaped by her heritage, her values, and her confrontation with mortality. Tatiana writes passionately about the need for resources to advance research and to support medical breakthroughs, stressing that innovation in medicine should never be hindered by politics or profit motives. She emphasizes the human dimension behind policy decisions, reminding the public that every statistic, every funding debate, every scientific breakthrough is anchored in human lives, a family, a person, a story. This intersection of personal experience and public advocacy has made her voice both powerful and deeply moving. In her words, readers and observers find a reminder that courage is not only about confronting illness, but also about using one's experiences to push for systemic change. Despite the intensity of her treatments and the rigors of clinical trials, Tatiana remains deeply connected to her family and the broader community that surrounds her. She has spoken, often quietly and with a sense of hope, about the role her extended family and cousins play in continuing research initiatives and supporting advocacy efforts. To Tatiana, medical progress is not a solitary endeavor. It is a shared responsibility. Breakthroughs in science today become lifelines for countless families tomorrow, and she sees herself as both a participant and a messenger in this ongoing journey. Observers note that her approach is marked by a careful balance of realism and optimism. She is candid about the limitations of current medical knowledge, acknowledging when the odds are daunting, yet she champions the potential of new therapies to redefine what is possible. Each experimental protocol she undergoes is more than a chance at survival. It is a testament to resilience, determination, and the belief that human ingenuity, when coupled with empathy, funding, and collaboration, can profoundly transform lives. Tatiana's story has resonated far beyond the inner circles of the Kennedy family. In hospitals, research laboratories, and advocacy forums, her journey is cited as a tangible reminder of why medical progress matters, not as an abstract goal or a distant aspiration, but as a real, tangible lifeline for those facing unimaginable challenges. Her courage, transparency, and relentless hope underscore a truth often overshadowed by political debates and policy discussions. Medicine is fundamentally about people. Tatiana's fight is deeply personal, yet its message is universal. It calls attention to the necessity of pursuing cures, supporting innovation, and recognizing human dignity as inseparable from scientific advancement. In the end, Tatiana Kennedy's journey is about far more than confronting a life-threatening illness. It is about facing the limits of what we know and refusing to accept them passively. Her advocacy for experimental therapies, her insistence on humanizing medical decision-making, and her unwavering hope collectively illuminate what it means to be both a patient and a catalyst for change. In her voice, we hear the echo of resilience that not only defines her family legacy but also resonates with a broader universal quest to ensure that hope, science, and compassion advance together, offering light even in the darkest of circumstances. Through her story, Tatiana demonstrates that courage is not measured merely by survival, but by the ability to turn personal struggle into a call for meaningful change. A reminder that every life matters, every story counts, and every effort to push the boundaries of what is possible can ripple far beyond a single individual. So what does this heartbreaking news mean for her family and legacy? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe.